I'm Zhang Luca, founder and CEO of Zhang Global, and also the managing director of Zhang Technologies. And I'm an innovator and inventor of innovations that solve indigenous problems.
So, what are the indigenous problems you're solving at Zang Technologies?
Yeah, currently we're solving a lot of indigenous problems, problems that has to do with climate change. Currently, we are recycling electronic waste into high capacity power banks because we look at the electronic waste that is moving to the landfill. So instead of allowing this electronic waste causing havoc to the society, and some of the havoc that this electronic waste causes is responsible for global warming and also responsible for diseases such as cancer. So we are transforming this electronic waste into sustainable products like solar lanterns and power banks. And even currently, we are running, a project that has to do with biodegradable, a kind of biodegradable packaging that will replace styrofoam. And currently, we have a prototype which we have a biodegradable pen. So these are some of the indigenous problems that we are solving.
Okay, so walk us through the processes. Before you even walk us through the processes, let's talk about how did you discover that this is causing a climate problem in Plateau State to be specific? Or how walk us through the process and how you were able to discover that, oh, I think this is causing this problem and this is my approach.
Yeah, but before that, my first project was to build a dream recorder.
What year
Uh,
was that?
yeah, that was 2017, and the reason for the dream recorder because sometimes I had dreams and wake up and I could not remember. So I was very aware that I want to build a device that could actually record my dreams. When I wake up, I'll be able to play them. So, and which led me to start experimenting, on working towards that dream recorder. But I had the biggest challenge of lack of basic resources and tools that were necessary for that particular project. So, and that led me to start experimenting on the electronic waste. And that is when I discovered, the value of electronic waste. And I discovered that here on the plateau, electronic waste had no value. People always dump it, in the landfill and anyhow. And some of the improper way of managing this electronic waste was burning and incinerating, and which has been creating a lot of air pollution here on the plateau. And when I discovered that, and we started recycling, and we discovered that about 80% of these components contained in the electronic waste, are valuable components that could actually be used and produce other sustainable products.
So, walk us through your background. Do you have a background in sciences?
Yeah, not actually. During my secondary school days, back then I wished to be in science class, but my secondary school shuffle students based on science, social science, and art based on your performance on those subjects. So back then I was not able to perform well on science subjects, so I was sent to social science. Though I insist being in science class, but the school authority, reject my offer of being in science class. So, and I was studying social science. So, because of the love that and passion that I have for science and technology, so I began to get some textbook, make research, and make experiments, on my own. So during then, I studied science on my own, making experiment. In short, there was even a time I was curious. I said, okay, if I boil kerosene, what will be the reaction? So that time I boiled kerosene just to see, the reaction, is to tell you how passionate I was for science and tech. So I didn't study science, I know, as a subject in school, but I'm a self learner of science.
So how long have you been experimenting so far that brought you to this place?
Yeah, because of this passion was in me right from childhood. So this issue of experimentation is right from childhood. Because when I was still a child, when I see something, I must dismantle it to see what is in, what are the processes that make that thing to work the way it works. So that back then, I spoiled my mom, a lot of gadgets. So it's right from childhood.
So let's talk about some of your products. This is a power bank, 20,000
Yeah,
mAh, 45,000
yeah,
mAh, and also, 20,000 mAh, both in black, white, and
right,
all.
yeah.
Tell us, what are the processes you went through? Yes, I know you're into electronic recycling. Walk us through the processes that were involved in producing this product.
Okay. Now, the processes that involved into our production, which we mentioned earlier, is recycling of electronic waste. So the first thing is that we extract this electronic waste from places such as electronic repairing workshops.
Can you be
Uh,
specific of the locations,
okay,
like where you pick them, and how? Who do you use to pick or recycle them?
okay. Now, we pick some of this electronic waste. One of our location, because we have different location cut across Plateau State and even cut across the nation also, not only Plateau State, but here in Plateau State, here in Terminus, Hamas, there are some electronic repairers, like computer repairers, that we pick some of this electronic waste from. Yeah, though we give them some incentives for them to be able to gather this electronic waste into one place. Then we pick them after a week.
And
In
how
some
much?
cases, we pick them after 2 weeks. And some of this electronic waste, it now depends on the weight and also on the size they are able to gather. That will determine the incentive that we will give. But in most cases, if it's larger enough, we give 5,000, two
How many
thousand.
kilograms?
Yeah, not definitely on kilograms, but also on the type of electronics waste also that we are able to get. Yeah.
So, what are can you be specific of this exact type of electronic waste? You have capacitors, there are resistors, those electronic. So, can you be specific?
Yes, as you all know that electronic waste has a lot of components, and electronic waste are discarded electronics. It could be a television, it could be a laptop, so anything that has to do with electronic waste. And most of the components that we usually extract from this electronic waste, we have capacitors, diodes, uh, also batteries too, lithium batteries.
For
So,
phones,
yeah,
laptops.
lithium batteries for laptop batteries. So when we extract these batteries, we have the system of recycling these batteries, and even they are dead, we have a system of recycling them and bring them back to life and functionable, normal.
So, let's talk about the recycling part of the batteries that resulted to this product. So, let's talk about what goes through the process.
Now, the process of recycling this electronic waste batteries, because actually we discovered a method of recycling these batteries, because one of the challenge that we had, that you will see a laptop not holding much power or is not functioning on the battery. There's a particular thing that makes it not to, you know, function that way. So when we extract these batteries from the laptop batteries, and we have developed a system of recycling this battery, and this process or a system that we have developed, it's actually, for us, it's not disclosable right now, but we've developed a system of recycling those batteries back to life and functionable the way it's.
So I hope you are maintaining some safety against hazards, in the recycling process, so it doesn't cause harm for the people recycling.
Yes, as you all know, we are talking about climate change, and we cannot be solving an issue of climate change and at the same time causing havoc, also to our workers and even to ourselves and to our health. And that means that we have not even solving the climate change issue. And so we are aware of some of the precaution that has to do with recycling electronic waste. So we are keeping safety and some of those things in place, like putting safety clothes, hand gloves, nose masks, and a lot of things. You know, not our workers to be exposed to some of the dangers that has to do with electronic waste.
So back to the process of producing these products.
Yes.
Yeah, walk us through the processes.
Now the process is, as I earlier said, which has to do with electronic waste. After we have extracted those electronic waste, we sort them out. After we sort them out accordingly, from batteries, from components, which I've mentioned, some of the components like diodes, USB ports, and what have you. After we sort those components, after sorting of the components, then we start, our production, and our production starts from those components. And after we have recycled the cells, and after we have assembled those components and make all the necessary connections on the motherboard and everything, and we insert those cells. After inserting the cells, and we make sure we test run everything and make sure that everything is in order, it's able to give us the required capacity that we want to produce. And we test the capacity, and everything is okay before the final packaging, before going, to the market.
So how do you test the capacity of the battery? Because here we have 5,000, we have 20,000. So what do you use to test the capacities before you can finally say, oh, okay, this battery is 20 milliamperes?
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yeah, you're right.
So,
I'm sorry.
yeah. So tell me, how do you come about that?
Okay. Yeah, we have a lot of device that we are using. We have battery testers that determine the capacities that we'll be able to test and know, yeah, the capacity of each cell that we are using, because there are some cells that has 2000 mAh, 3000 mAh. So it depends on the number of cells that you are using, which will determine the capacity. So the capacity tester will tell us the actual capacity that we are working on. Then these are real capacities that we use.
Okay. So like in my house, I have a almost dead power bank. I think I should bring it for you to recycle, and I hope you can take it to recycle it for me.
Yes, and this is one of our core mission. Yeah, that has to do with recycling, and but not only, electronic, other power banks and even other. Despite the have fact, we've created a sustainable brand of power bank, but we have other brands of power banks in the market that which people are having issue with. But instead of to have more electronic waste like those power banks in the landfill, we tell people to bring it, and we rectify it. Just as in your own case, if we have any power bank that you feel that is not longer, giving you what you expected of it, you bring it, we rectify it for you, we refurnish it for you, and you go back, you continue using it, because this is one of our major aim, that because we believe that and there's this goal of ours that every 1 kilogram of electronic waste we recycle, we're equally saving about 2 kilogram of carbon emission.
Wow.
Yes.
So let's talk about the economy of what you're doing. So far in Plateau State and nationwide, how has been the patronage of people buying the Zang power bank? And how has been the reception? Like, are people proud to say, oh, this is our Plateau product, I have to buy Plateau? And how do you feel when people patronize you?
Yeah, and you all know that in this part of the world that we don't value indigenous technology, and we always take things for granted. And there's a saying that says that a prophet is not honored in his hometown. And but we are creating more awareness whereby people will be able to patronize the indigenous product, and they will be able to see value in it. But currently, I will say that Plateau people are proud of what we are doing here, what we are doing, and there are a lot of people that are patronizing us here on the Plateau. But I must say this everywhere that. Most of our patronage, comes outside of the state, places like Lagos, Port Harcourt. They patronize us more than Plateau. But I would say Plateau too, they are trying, and we are hoping that they put more effort to see, in patronizing us, despite the fact we are trying to, remove that barrier of looking down on indigenous products.
Okay, so let's talk about your approach towards recycling. Um, in Plateau State, for instance, um, do you think that what you're doing is going to be impacting recycling of electronic waste in Plateau State and even in Middle Belt, generally speaking?
Yes, it is. It is because when we started, uh I stand to be corrected, because I think we're the first people to venture into recycling electronic waste on the Plateau, because back then nobody could discover the usage of electronic waste. Because if you look at almost in Nigeria has become like a dumping site of electronic waste. All sorts of gadgets coming out from abroad, and those gadgets have a very short lifespan. They have already used it, so and they send them back to us here, and it has a very short lifespan. So when it comes here, it becomes a waste to us. And here we have no policy that has to do with proper recycling of electronic waste. So everyone can just venture and burn it down and causing a lot of havoc. So us in this aspect, we are changing the narrative both in Plateau State and even the northern Nigeria, because we are not only covering Plateau State. Right now, as I'm telling you, we have started extracting also electronic waste even from Kano. So with time, we'll cover all the northern states here in Nigeria, and not only Nigeria, but we'll cover the whole of Nigeria, because Lagos too has a big place of when it comes in terms of electronic waste. So we're hoping to extract from Lagos, and before we'll be able to solve some of the challenges that electronic waste has been causing. And it is not only electronic waste problem that we are using electronic waste issue to solve a lot of problems, because if you look at this, we are building these power banks, and these power banks, the purpose of this is to provide rural electrification, because we are also building solar lanterns out of this electronic waste to some of the villages that they are not connected to the grid, whereby they could have source of power. So they use the solar panels to charge these power banks, and these power banks could be used to power those lanterns to illuminate their homes. And most especially the health centers in the rural areas, they have no power, and there are women that do deliver in the night. So, and it has caused a lot of some of these challenges. But with this product, some of the health centers in the rural areas, they've been able to make use of this product, to eliminate the health center. And even students in the rural areas, these solar lanterns, they're able to use it, to study at night, because back then the only source they could have is to make use of kerosene lamp and to make use of candle. So some of we all know the havoc of kerosene, and also the candle. And also the candle has caused a lot of havoc, which has brought about breakdown of fire and a lot of it. And even the kerosene lamp is responsible for some of the diseases due to fumes that is coming out of it. So we are using electronic ways to solve a lot of problems, to solve lack of power supply in the rural areas. So that's to do with a lot.
So, talk to us about the lifespan of this power bank. Does it have a shelf life? And after the shelf life has reached, do we come back to recycle, or what plans do you have? Because I'm sure this can be recyclable, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Now the lifespan of our product, as I usually say, that it cannot be theoretically, because I don't too much believe in theoretically. And the lifespan, we have tested it practically, because there are people who bought our product since 2018, and some of them up to today are still using our product. And that could tell you the quite number of years that our product could be used. And there are those that after 2 to 3 years, they usually sometimes had issue with their power banks. So when they contacted us, we look into it, and any component which is needed for replacement or for any repair, we make sure we fix it back and they continue using it. So, and that is where we are showing the difference. So instead of our product to have an issue and it will be thrown to the landfill, cause and havoc, so they bring it to us, we fix it back, and they continue using it. So
Okay.
that is our approach in that aspect.
Okay. So, how do you think Zang technology is contributing to the global warming? I mean, I know there's a lot happening globally, but Zang technology has been trying. So, tell us, in the nearest future, where do you see what you're doing would impact climate change, generally speaking?
Yes, our major focus is on climate change, because if we look at most especially other continents of the world, they have mostly started implementing solutions that will curtail climate change. But when you come to Africa, it seems as if we are still sleeping when it comes in terms of climate change. And but at Zang Technologies, we want to tell you that we are trying our possible best to see that we work towards climate change, to build climate change solutions that will be able to curtail some of the climate change issues that we have, and which we cannot just sit down and keep talking of climate change. I think that's what Africa has been doing, and also some parts of the world. They talk more on climate change than bringing out solutions to it. So we are not even just talking about climate change, but we are showing some reasonable commitment by showing with our footsteps, which we have shown by through recycling electronic waste. Another aspect is through the biodegradable packaging that we are working on, which we build a biodegradable pen. And also in that project also, which has to do with agricultural waste, and the roots of mycelium, which is as a binder for that project. And we are also kind of trying to build a planting pots, for which could be served as planting pots for tree seed, which will now
Which is
be able,
biodegradable.
yes, which is biodegradable, which you can just plant it, and it will biodegrade itself and even become a fertilizer, to the tree. And in regards to that, we also have a project in mind, which is a long-term project whereby we want to build a drone system whereby, because most of these trees when they are planted, you know most of them dies because of reason of no one is watering them. So we want to bring a system whereby we build a watering drone whereby it will be able to fly to some of these locations where these trees are planted and water them, seasonally, to see that these trees survive, in seasons where there's no rainfall.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are there any issues you'd like to address? Because I think we're done with the interview.
Yeah, the issue I want to address is that we should all be, climate conscious, that every of our action, leads, to, climate change issue, even our consumption, because if we are able to calculate even on plastics, we should be aware of our consumption to see that we save the future, because the problem is not ours, but what we are trying at Zang Technologies is to see that we have a sustainable future for the unborn, generation. Because the way it is, if we do not curtail some of, our footprint in regards to climate change, then I think, the unborn generation will have, will not have, a sustainable environment. So all that we are trying our best is that let's have a sustainable environment for the unborn generation. Thank you. Because of the painstaking we have taken in research to see that we curtail some of the issues of climate change, and we have been recognized by a lot of bodies which are, they are talking on climate change, and there's awarding solutions that has to do with climate change. And some of the recognitions that we have able to got, we have the On My Living Show and Unsung Heroes Award, uh, which was awarded to us, and it's here. We also have the Best Innovator Award in 2019 by the Plateau Innovation and Business Conference, and we have the Future Award Africa, which we awarded the prize for technology in 2019. And we have the federal government award, which are awarding startups that has to do with climate change solutions. We happen to came first in Nigeria, so we won the award under the office of the vice president, Professor Yomi Osibanjo. And this award is award of excellence in technology innovation, and we also won the JCI award, and awarded among the 10 best young entrepreneurs. And we also have the North Central Service Award, which we were awarded Innovative Inventor Award. And also we have this from the Alpha Blue Foundation, and we won the most innovative tech environmental solution by the Africa Digital Award 2022. And most of the recognitions we have received, which are we have received digital. Okay, we have received the digital award. In 2022, we won the Global Climate Award in 2022, and also we have also won the ECOWAS Best Startup Award that has to do with climate change. So we have received a lot of recognition, and because of the work we are doing towards climate change, and also I happen to be among the Western Union Foundation Fellowship, and which we was given selected to be one of the fellow. And also because of the environmental solutions that we are building. I happen to be selected as Amahoro Coalition Fellow, which we are undergoing fellowship and training that has to do with climate change. I think which some of our fellows happen to opportune to partake in the COP 28 in Dubai, which is currently on the going. But some of us, I think, by next year or so, will be able to, partake. So, because of what we are doing, we have been able to partake in some of a lot of climate change events, and we are hoping to see that we gain more opportunities so that most of these recognitions, giving us, more zeal to work on climate issues and climate solutions, because we believe that the more you are given, the more is also expected of you. So we are not there yet, because these are just keys to use to unlock some of the climate issues solutions that we are about to work. And our mission is to see that we become the champions of climate change solutions in Africa and all over the world. Thank
Thank
you.
you very